We all just witnessed the Atlanta Braves go on a magical run to win the 2021 World Series, and I'm pretty sure that we can all give credit where credit is due and understanding that the Braves, they probably don't win the World Series without trading for guys like Adam Duvall, Jock Peterson, NLCS MVP Eddie Rosario, and World Series MVP Jorge Soler. So it got me thinking, if we go back over 5 years and we revisit all of the biggest trades, how have they panned out? If this is your first time on the channel, we talk baseball every single day, so if you're into that sort of thing, don't be afraid to subscribe and also leave a like if you enjoyed today's video. So let's go back 5 years, all the way to 2016. The Boston Red Sox acquired Chris Sale of the Chicago White Sox in exchange for their top two prospects, Yoan Moncada and Michael Kopech. Of course, Chris Sale at the time was one of the best pitchers, if not the best pitcher in all of baseball, so the Red Sox had to give away their best prospects. And to me, this is one of the few win-win trades of the entire video, because the Red Sox, they got a World Series championship out of it. Chris Sale threw the final pitch of the 2018 World Series, I believe it was, striking out Manny Machado, so they get their championship. And the White Sox, they get a bright future in Moncada, who has been really good so far ever since he joined Chicago. And Michael Kopech, he showed a high ceiling in 2021. I fully expect him to be even better in 2022. So the 2016 trade of Chris Sale to the Red Sox, again, I think it's a win-win for both teams. We have two more trades to talk about from 2016. I'm sure that you can think of one of them, Fernando Tatis Jr. Staying with 2016, actually the next two trades were from the 2016 White Sox offseason. So let's talk about Lucas Giolito first and foremost, because the Nationals, they traded for Adam Eaton, and in doing so, they had to give away three different prospects: Lucas Giolito, Reynaldo Lopez, and Dane Dunning. I want to talk about Dane Dunning first because they actually just used him, talking about the White Sox, to acquire Lance Lynn over the offseason, stealing him away from the Rangers, and he was amazing for the Chicago White Sox. And then you factor in Lucas Giolito, he might have been the best pitcher in the American League, not named Shane Bieber a year ago in 2020. He wasn't the same guy in 2021, but he was still pretty good. And then Reynaldo Lopez, he showed a lot of promise after being probably the worst pitcher in baseball over the last 2 seasons. So he improved. Lucas Giolito is still a beast. They used Dane Dunning to turn into Lance Lynn. So for me, the only team that really lost in this trade were the Washington Nationals, although Adam Eaton, he did play a large role in the Nationals winning the 2019 World Series. So let me know in the comment section down below. Adam Eaton going to the Nationals in return for Giolito, Lopez, and Dane Dunning. Do you think that's a W for the White Sox, the Nationals, or was it a wash? I am so sorry, Chicago fans. I did not want to bring this up, but it was a big-time trade at the moment. The Chicago White Sox gave up a young 17-year-old prospect by the name of Fernando Tatis Jr., and they got James. They called him Big Game James back in the day. He was horrific. I don't even really want to spend too much time on this one because I don't want to be mean to White Sox fans. This was not a good trade whatsoever. I will say they have made up for it with the development of Tim Anderson. They got Luis Robert. They traded for Eloy Jimenez and Dylan Cease, who will be in today's video. So while it's not the end of the world, you still traded away Fernando Tatis Jr. for James frickin' Shields. Moving on over to the 2017 offseason, we have 3 trades to talk about. Giancarlo Stanton, he made some headlines going to the New York Yankees in exchange for Starlin Castro, Rafael Devers' cousin Jose Devers, and Jorge Guzman. Yeah, the Marlins definitely lost out on this trade. Now, I do understand that the Yankees had to take on the contract for Giancarlo Stanton, so it has made it a little bit difficult to go out and grab other big-time free agents. I mean, actually, not really. They signed Garrett Cole in 2020, and Giancarlo Stanton has been a man amongst boys, especially in the playoffs when he was actually healthy for the Yankees. And the Marlins, they didn't get anything from Starlin Castro. Jose Devers is not very good. I mean, the Marlins just aren't very good at making trades, at least in 2017, but now that Kim Ming is in control, she's doing fairly well. Let's talk about the 2017 trade of Justin Verlander going from the Tigers to the Houston Astros, and I don't really understand how the Tigers thought that they were getting enough value, because they got Franklin Perez, Daz Cameron, who showed all right skills in 2021, and Jake Rogers, who is a better offensive catcher than he is defense. So to me, Justin Verlander going to the Astros, this was a big-time W for Houston. They used him heavily. Of course, he won another Cy Young. He threw a no-hitter, and he wasn't the same in the 2019 World Series against the Washington Nationals, but they were a lot like the Braves. It was just a magical run. It almost seemed like the baseball gods just didn't want the Astros to win even that year. So for me, Justin Verlander going to the Houston Astros, a big-time W, and the Tigers, they almost got nothing in return. And then last but not least, for 2017, we have Eloy Jimenez and Dylan Cease going to the Chicago White Sox in exchange for Jose Quintana. So the Cubs, they get Jose Quintana. He was all right in his first season, and then he fell off a cliff. He goes to the Angels and then also fell off a cliff, so he has not been good in quite some time. And the White Sox, again, like I mentioned, of course they traded away Fernando Tatis Jr., but they made up for it by using Dane Dunning to get Lance Lynn. They pick up Eloy Jimenez and Dylan Cease in one single trade. Cease, it took some time for him to develop, but he was really good in 2021. Eloy Jimenez, he stole the show in 2020. I fully expected him to be a monster again in 2021 until he had that shoulder injury, but when he was healthy, he was very good. He kind of faded away as the season progressed, but to me, the White Sox, even though they traded away Tatis Jr., they've pretty much made up for it with all the other guys that they've acquired. But yeah, the Cubs, that was okay. Yeah, the Chicago Cubs, not great. Jose Quintana, he was garbo. The 2018 trade of Robinson Cano and Edwin, we sometimes call him Ed Luz Diaz. Yeah, they went from the Mariners to the Mets in exchange for Jay Bruce. What? In exchange for Jay Bruce, Swarzak, Jared Kelenic, and Mr. Justin Dunn. So this is kind of a trade that I don't really know what to make of. The only person that I really think has been amazing is Jared Kelenic. I know he struggled out the gate, but he ended the season very strong in 2021, and I believe he's going to be a superstar going forward. The Mets getting Robinson Cano, the fact that he was banned for PEDs yet again. Edwin Diaz is one of the shakiest closers in all of baseball, although I will say between 2020 and 2021, he's been better. He's had more moments of being good than bad. So for me, the 2018 trade, Robinson Cano and Edwin Diaz to the Mets, it shocked the baseball world, but aside from Jared Kelenic, Justin Dunn has been all right in his first two seasons. He was much better in 2021, and maybe he can build off that. He might have to go to the bullpen. We'll have to wait and see, because I think Justice Sheffield has a higher ceiling. But let me know in the comment section down below. If you're a Mets fan, were you happy with this trade? Are you happy with this trade? And if you're a Mariners fan, what do you think of Justin Dunn and Jared Kelenic? Because those are really the only two players remaining. Oh boy, another trade that the Marlins absolutely botched. If we go to 2018, Christian Yelich, I don't know if that name rings a bell. He was traded from the Marlins to Milwaukee in exchange for Lewis Brinson, who was just designated for assignment by the Marlins. Izan Diaz, he has not been very good. Monte Harrison has not been very good, and Jordan Yamamoto isn't even on the Marlins anymore. So kind of like the Tatis trade, I almost feel bad bringing this up, so I'm not even really going to discuss it. Yelich, an almost two-time MVP. He won it in 2018, almost won back-to-back in 2019. Yeah, the Marlins, they were not good at making trades back in the day. And we still have one more Marlins trade to talk about, because there could be a silver lining, but we'll go ahead and discuss that after the final trade from 2018. Paul Goldschmidt, this one for me was one of the bigger trades of the video, because I love Paul Goldschmidt. Even though he doesn't say anything, his talent is one of the best that we've ever seen at the first base position. So the Cardinals, they grabbed Goldie in exchange for young prospects Luke Weaver, Carson Kelly, and Andy Young. Andy Young actually is now a member of the Nationals. I believe they lost him in the Rule 5 draft. I have no idea why Arizona did not protect him, but Luke Weaver, he was solid. Carson Kelly, he was on fire to begin 2021 and then kind of faded away as the season progressed. But the Diamondbacks, they got some youth, which isn't too bad. Just in exchange, they gave away Paul Goldschmidt, who was a machine this year. Not the best in terms of power in 2018, but we saw his plate discipline kind of come back into play. His on-base percentage skyrocketed. It was still pretty good in 2021, but overall, Paul Goldschmidt is a top 25 player in Major League Baseball. I just don't think Luke Weaver and Carson Kelly have that talent. So for me, I consider this a big-time victory for the St. Louis Cardinals. So this one is still very much up in the air as to who won or who lost. We have the 2019 trade of JT Realmuto. He was on the Marlins, and everyone was saying he was the best catcher in baseball, at least on the road to becoming the best catcher in baseball. The Phillies acquired him in exchange for top prospects Sixto Sanchez and Jorge Alfaro. Alfaro was supposed to be like a Walmart version of JT Realmuto. He could run and he had some pretty good contact skills, but just like Lewis Brinson in the Yelich trade, Jorge Alfaro was recently designated for assignment. So Sixto Sanchez, he was really good in his rookie season. I still believe that he is going to be a stud for the next 5 to 10 years for the Marlins, and the Marlins have a really loaded young staff. They could be really scary in the near future. So for me, JT Realmuto has been an absolute monster, but Sixto Sanchez, his ceiling is so high where if we talk about this again in 3 or 4 years, maybe we say that the Marlins won this trade, but for right now, easily the Phillies take the W. Now, last but not least, I don't remember any trades from 2020, so if I forgot any of them, please let me know in the comment section down below. But the final trade I want to discuss, the 2021 trade of my dear friend, Francisco Lindor. He was traded to the New York Mets along with one of my favorite players in baseball, Carlos Carrasco. He wasn't very good. Frankie wasn't very good either. And in return, Ahmed Rosario, Andres Gimenez, and Josh Wolf went to the Cleveland Guardians. I can't believe I'm still saying that. But Ahmed Rosario, surprisingly, was really good for Cleveland. Not in terms of power, but he got on base at a fairly decent percentage. He wasn't the worst defensive shortstop I've ever seen. Now, he wasn't a Gold Glover by any means, but he got on base. He turned singles into doubles, doubles into triples. He was a spark plug on the base pass, and I just really like his effort and the passion that he brought to the team. Andres Gimenez, I see flashes of greatness, especially on the bases as well as in the field. Offensively, he still has some work to do, but he does have sneaky pop. And then Josh Wolf, a young prospect that I think has a lot of promise. But that pretty much does it for today's video. Those are the biggest trades that I could remember. Now, I didn't talk about anything from 2020, but that's because I can't recall anything from 2020. So if I missed anything, please let me know. Thank you all so much for watching. Kind of nice to go down memory lane. Again, I'm sorry about the 2016 trade of Tatis Jr., but we won't talk about that anymore. You guys rock. I appreciate everything that you do. Stay safe out there, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.